Debbie, and thanks everyone for joining this Lunch and Learn. So today we're going to be looking at ESG reporting. Obviously it is a hot topic at the moment, and we're going to kind of be giving you some info on that. Going to be looking at sort of what ESG is, what it looks like within D365, some of the role-based challenges that ESG brings, and also how you can kickstart your own ESG reporting journey, obviously if you haven't started already. I think a lot of you all probably know a lot about ESG already, but I think the main takeaway from today will probably be, don't ignore it, don't leave it until it's too late, and start looking into this now. We've got a few of us on the call today from HSO. So we've got Stephen Simon, who's the Data and Analytics BDM. We've got myself as the account manager and your host for today. We've got Jonathan Marcolele, who will be driving most of this presentation, the Data and Analytics consultant. We've got Debbie from our marketing team, and we've got Jess Wright, one of our associate consultants. So please, any questions that you've got, pop them in the chat. I'll be happy to read them out and get them answered. But I'll now hand over to you, Stephen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Like was said, I'm Stephen Simon, BDM for Data and Analytics. ESG, very hot topic. And what we're going to do today is Jonathan's going to talk you through the Cloud for Sustainability and Sustainability Manager. We're going to focus on the UK, but we're going to highlight some of the differences inside of where EU regulations come in as well. And we've also got counterparts who focus entirely or just on the EU regulations. But I'll hand over to Jonathan, who's going to do the meat of the presentation. Like we say, there's space for questions at the end. We're going to highlight the Microsoft functionality in some of the areas and where, as the regulations grow, the Microsoft product set and the Microsoft offerings are growing. There's a massive amount of investment going into it, and we're going to highlight where the standard functionality is there, how it makes you meet the requirements, what you have. So Jonathan, over to you to go through the slides, please.
Perfect. So the first thing to say is climate change is going to have a massive impact on organizations, and in fact it already is. So there's a significant growth in eco-conscious consumers. So people are more likely to buy sustainable products and certainly purchase products from sustainable companies. So it's a clear indication that that's where we're heading from a sustainability point of view. Not only that, climate change poses a significant risk to various industries in the UK. The likes of natural disasters, political crises can impact organisations, particularly if they're getting resources from a particular country. The supply chains can be impacted. We saw that significantly in the Ukraine conflict with wheat. So there can be a massive impact through various different things, and climate change can pose a serious risk to organisations in the same way. So another impact is the financial consequences. So as resources become more scarce, energy costs will go up, labour costs can become more expensive, and this can create massive challenges for organisations. So not only that, given there's a clear external context at play here, there's also a push towards net zero. And as a result of that, governments are increasing the regulatory pressures on organisations. So we're seeing that a lot in the EU and in the UK in the coming years. So just to highlight some of these, you can clearly see that there's an increase in reporting need from a disclosure point of view. So for example, if we think about some of the EU regulations, there's going to be an increased focus on organisations displaying how they're mitigating ESG related risk, a focus on strategy going forward, and there's going to be an increased focus on looking at metrics and KPIs associated with the green taxonomy. Now, the green taxonomy, or the EU taxonomy in the EU, is mainly around a number of ratings that are associated with an organisation's practices and how sustainable they are. So you get a rating and it's displayed to investors. So there's a clear onus on organisations to get this right as it's displayed externally. Not only that, just to touch on some of the specific regulations that are coming in, the main one certainly for the EU is the CSRD regulation. This is focused on the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, and as mentioned, it covers more focus on sustainability targets, risks, opportunity management, and forward planning. The thing to note with this one is that the scope is massively increasing. So more companies are going to be in scope for this legislation. So if we think about the NFRD regulation, which is up here, approximately 11,000 businesses were in scope. Now with CSRD, that's increased to approximately 50,000 businesses. So we can see the clear implications for organisations. From a UK perspective, there is the SDR regulation that's coming into force. There isn't a huge amount announced in terms of what that's going to contain. However, we're expecting more information at the end of the year. What I do expect is it to be relatively similar to the EU regulation in terms of scope and size. So expect things like alignment with green taxonomy, greater transparency, and a focus on mitigating risk and strategy, and so on and so forth. So given the external context and the regulatory context, there's going to be a clear impact on various roles in an organisation. So if we think about it from a CFO's perspective, given the increase in regulations, they're going to have an increased interest in making sure that they're compliant and that the organisation is meeting regulations to reduce the risk of any like fines or anything like that. Not only that, given increased reporting needs, chief information officers will have a vested interest in making sure that they embed an efficient reporting architecture. So things like data models, things like automated reporting will become a clear focus for these individuals. From a chief operating officer's perspective, there'll be a increased focus on looking at these reports and seeing if we can make decisions to reduce emissions, to make the organizational more effective and reduce the risk of climate change into the future. So there's a massive impact to organizations. So what can Microsoft and HSO do to help? So the first thing I want to talk about is Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability. It's a suite of technologies that are available for companies to use that provide help for companies to meet those some of the sustainability needs. So at the heart of this suite of technologies is Microsoft Sustainability Manager. Now, what does that do? So it essentially takes data from a myriad of different sources and centralize it into a standard data model, and which is perfect because data engineers always get concerned about putting data in a specific format, whereas this data model is fixed and is ready to take data. So you've got a target to aim for. Not only that, there are a number of calculations pre-built focused on the GHG protocol scopes of emissions. So this is the likes of scope 1, 2, and 3. So there's a clear focus on some of the specific sustainability measures associated with emissions and things like that. And not only that, there's pre-built Power BI reports built in, meaning that you can get insight and use that to make decisions to improve your organization. So just to talk about some of the features then, I touched on embedded analytics, and as mentioned, it's got the GHG scopes 1, 2, and 3. This is focusing on direct, indirect, and indirect upstream and downstream. So scope 1's the direct, scope 2's indirect, and scope 3 is indirect but upstream and downstream of your organization. So this is things like customers and your suppliers in particular. So it's got these right at the box, and it's worth noting these Power BI reports are already pre-built for you, so you don't have to create them. They're already there, and there's reports focused on emissions and on water and waste, meaning that you can use it to foster reduction strategies going forward. Not only that, there are a number of KPIs built into Sustainability Manager that allow you to track organizational performance. One particular one is revenue intensity, and this allows you to look at an organization's revenue and compare it to how much is being emitted. This allows you to get a proportional representation of organizational performance. And you can also analyze how you want to. With interactivity built in, you can change different pages. In this visual, you can show comparisons by year and switch between different views, all in the same visual. And because it's built on the back of Power BI, you can absolutely interact with all the different elements on the page, and cross-filtering will occur when you click on one chart element. So if you click on this graph down here, you can see it, the changes propagate throughout the visualization, throughout the dashboard. Not only that, scorecards and goals are built into Microsoft Sustainability Manager. So organizations can set goals and targets to aim for, and then they can monitor how they perform against a specific goal. This is perfect if you want to focus on reducing emissions in a particular area. So we can see there's a focus here to reduce mobile combustion emissions by 80%. And on this chart, you can see how you're performing against this target and see whether you're met or at risk achieving that. And it's really good to monitor this on a monthly basis just to see how well you're performing and whether you're achieving those goals. It allows organizations to then decide whether to make decisions to improve things further going forward and take that action to reduce emissions. Not only that, disclosure reporting is very important to organizations. So in Microsoft Sustainability Manager, this is closely considered, and you can create your own queries effectively. So write queries to export data into Excel. So you can essentially choose what dimensions you want to include within a particular query, and then download and generate that report into Excel, meaning that you can use it for ongoing disclosures and you can fulfill those regulatory requirements. Not only that, Sustainability Manager has the flexibility to ingest any sorts of data source. You can take sources from Excel templates all the way up to complex SQL databases. And it's worth noting as well that this is built on the Power Query engine, meaning that you can leverage low-code data transformation. It's worth noting as well, if you're dealing with large amounts of data, you can then leverage the likes of Azure to benefit from efficiency such as scalability and compute, meaning that you can use all the powers of Microsoft technology to get the data in the right format, ready for analytics. So another thing I wanted to touch on is emission factors. Now, this is a crucial feature for sustainability reporting. Essentially, what this does is an emission factor is the rate at which a particular activity emits greenhouse gases. And it's worth noting that there are a number of factor libraries already built into Microsoft Sustainability Manager, meaning that you can leverage these right out of the box. So for instance, we can see the DEFRA libraries already built in here, and these are the ones that are relevant for the UK. So you can use these straight out of the box. Alternatively, you can create your own library as well. So for instance, if you've got a specific activity that tends to be more efficient than industry standards, you can customize a library that suits your needs. This is particularly used in the case of the likes of renewable energy and things like that. So it's really powerful in that sense. Not only that, there's a number of calculations available right out the box. So scope 1, 2, and some of scope 3 calculations are already available to use. And all you'll need to do is just repoint the emission factors to what's relevant for a particular activity and to your specific need. But the beauty of this is it's all low code. meaning you don't have to learn any complicated languages to generate calculations. It's all there and relatively easy to understand. It shows you the flow of the calculation and how it's derived. Not only that, governance is a key feature within Microsoft Sustainability Manager. Organizations that require strict control of sustainability data can stage data in a pending state. So when data is imported, it's put in a specific location where it can be reviewed and approved before it actually is displayed in the solution. So this is a really powerful feature. Not only that, auditing is a key feature for Microsoft Sustainability Manager. Particularly with the CSRD regulation, there's an increased onus on auditing, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be mandatory for some organisations in the future. So having the ability to see who's changed the record, when they've changed the record, and what it's changed to is a crucial feature to have within the tool. And the final thing that I want to touch on related to governance is Microsoft Purview. So Microsoft Purview works collaboratively with Sustainability Manager. There's a CSRD template that's available. So for those that are impacted by the EU regulations, can use this template to more easily disclose information to meet the regulations. So it actually allows you to do that quicker. So leveraging the wide array of Microsoft technologies available actually supports you in your meeting your regulatory needs. And you can also use Purview to manage and control data access policies and things like that. So it's a really useful tool to make use of from a sustainability perspective. So what's the typical solution architecture? So with a lot of solutions, there is a need to put data in a format that's ready for analytics. So as we talked about before, Microsoft Sustainability Manager has a very specific data model. So we can take data from any system, and because we're HSO, we have what we call the DNA accelerator, which is all about taking data from a myriad of systems and putting it in one central location that's modeled in an effective way. So that data can then be modeled in a way that's suitable for ingestion into Sustainability Manager. And not only that, there's a new feature that's coming down the line, which is Project ESG Lake, which is in preview at the minute. And this is a comprehensive set of a comprehensive data estate, which is based on the common data model. So Microsoft have created 400 or so tables that all relate to sustainability. And this is something that's really liked by data engineers because it means that data is already in a format that's ready to support analytics. So they don't have to go away and think, oh, what format should I put this data in? It's already there. So all you need, it gives you something to aim at essentially. So you can get your data in the right format, and then it can be ingested into Sustainability Manager for ongoing analysis. Another feature that I want to touch on is the ability to capture invoices. So another preview feature is the ability to use optical character recognition. So this is an AI model that's used for processing and ingesting scope 2 purchases, meaning that you don't have to have a manual process to record receipts or anything like that. You can just use AI to automatically ingest that data for you. So if you want to improve processes, that's something to absolutely consider in the future. And the final thing I want to touch on is, while there may be a number of embedded reports in Sustainability Manager, they might not suit everybody. So you can actually create your own custom reports based on Sustainability Manager data. So because Sustainability Manager is effectively a Power App under the hood, you can leverage Dataverse and then create custom Power BI reports. So whether you want to, put custom targets or things like that within a Power BI report, you can create a custom solution that suits your needs. And what's even better is you can then embed that back into Sustainability Manager. And so you can get all your ESG related reporting in one location. This is perfect. So how do you kickstart your journey? So I think the first thing to do is start with a vision and strategy. It's important to analyse what the pain points related to ESG are, what's the regulatory impact, and define your ESG initiatives for the future. Where we tend to focus customers, though, is on an ESG assessment. So what HSO likes to do is go into an organisation and uncover the extent of ESG integration. And we can then support you with a roadmap to agreed with an executive sponsor to drive future development. And once that's been agreed, we can start thinking about things like designing a data model. So getting data in the right format for it to be used for ongoing analytics. And something that's we like to encourage as well to generate adoption is to start with a proof of concept. So start with something simple to start with, just to get people used to the product, and then expand that out in the future, so it can be deployed to solve a wider array of problems. And then once solutions have been built, we can then train and make sure that people understand why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and how to maintain it going forward. So that's where we like to focus our attention.
Well, thanks very much for attending. We have got a feedback form in the chat on this meeting. Would really appreciate it if you could just fill that out. Let us know how the session was, anything else we could have included, and how we can improve. And then we've got the next Lunch and Learn session. Thanks, Jonathan. On the 14th of December at midday, and that's on Click Learn, so around enterprise training and documentation. Brilliant. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll leave the session open just for a couple of minutes just in case anyone has got any other questions, but thank you very much.